All right, here we go. Welcome to STS. Um, as usual, I always like to start the show with a congratulatory tokage. That's all I'm gonna call it. This is the only show where we smoke pot on the first minute of every show to make sure that I don't know, it's a ritual now. You know, I did it on the first episode, and some people really dug it. They're just like, well, it's cool you smoke on TV. Now I'm like, well, this isn't TV, but close enough. Um, we had a really good show yesterday, and I'm hoping we can even tie those kind of numbers. Um, or at least get even close to them today, you know? Yeah, we seem to have gotten a lot of love from people. I managed to put out the links for certain people to check out. Um, just kind of threw it out there and figured, let's see what happens. And yeah, here we go. All right. So, so with yesterday, what we were talking about was human beings being inherently lonely, and we inherit this sense of loneliness, and you know um, it's definitely good for you to be alone and to have time to go ahead and just you know take time for yourself to create who you are. Now, personally, I used to take hallucinogens, I smoked pot and stuff like that, but I never did it as an escape. Okay? It was never an escape from reality. To me, it was a way of opening up my reality and seeing what actually is in there. What haunts me and what makes me happy. And in my opinion, no other stimulant can do this except for hallucinogens. And so the very first time I had taken actual acid, I I became a Tool fanatic. First of all, first and foremost, that I realized that the Tool was like my religion. I love their music. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be a Tool fan to be watching the show or anything like that. I'm just saying you cannot use certain things as an escape because especially with hallucinogens because that all it does is open your mind and help you realize what's actually in the mirror, and you can see what people see in you. And in my personal opinion, I think that people make the best of other people. And sometimes it takes someone to bring out the best in you. Not always. Not this is never an always situation. You know, Rick Fantana said, 60% of the time works every time. It's yeah. Nothing is ever gonna be 100%. But I had a friend that wanted to take hallucinogens to escape their reality, and she ended up having a very bad trip. That friend of mine, I'm gonna. Oh, I'll send her a link to this show, and she'll know exactly who I'm talking about. My point is that fear in itself is something we all experience. But what's beautiful about fear is it brings out the best of us. And that's weird. I also I've mentioned before on the show that I have a ghost in my closet, and I have a little shrine for him over there. And normally he's really cool, but sometimes he likes to mess with my fan, turn it off, and stuff. I would like to rip on something that I found earlier a few days ago. My actually my landlord gave it to me. It was like a 2 3 foot bong, and yeah, I'd love to rip that on this show, but that's a 2 man job. So let's get back to the subject of fear. Fear makes or breaks you, of course. We all hear that from coaches, teachers, and those that have been pushing us our whole lives in a positive way. And it really takes fear to understand what you're clinging to. When you have, let's just worst case scenario, you have a gun to your head. That fear is going to bring out the most that you love. Like, you will instantly think about the people. I experienced this firsthand. I'm sure some of you also have. If you have not, all more power to you, dude. You don't want that. You don't want that feeling. You know, it's ready. It's much better to think of in a vacuum situation rather than to actually be there. Because if you're actually there with a gun to your head, it's scary for some, and for others, it's a wake up call. For me, it was really um, challenging because I wasn't sure if I even wanted to live anymore. But I'm not going to say I wasn't afraid. I was afraid, but I used that fear to help gain an idea of what it is that I love the most, that I'm afraid to lose. There's no person in this planet that can say that they have nothing to lose. There's something to lose. And fear is bravery turned outward, turned inward. And the fighting of fear, to overcome it and to accept it, is the most important job in your personal evolution. So again, when I'm talking about hallucinogenics, I always used it for what I could consider my personal evolution, where I wanted to be, where I wanted to understand. And what I really got out of emotions like fear was it's a reminder of what I love. And so the thoughts immediately in my head were a couple of people. It was a very short list, but I knew right there that's what I have to lose. And there's a really great quote from a film that has George C. Scott in it, who played General Patton in the movie Patton. And he was amazing because he was a great actor. You guys might know him from, I think he was in Exorcist 3. Um, I believe he was in Exorcist 3, not number 2. That was the heretic. Um, so in Exorcist 3, he was in that. But in this film, the movie that I'm speaking of is actually called Angus. And it was written by, I'm not sure it was written by, but I know it was directed by Rob Cavallo, who basically produced all the albums. So, give me one moment. Did you say they're here? I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna have to be right back. I'm sorry, guys. One moment. So sorry about that. Ordered Chinese food, and normally Chinese food takes like it's the longest food that takes to be delivered. Somehow, they took less than half an hour. I've never had that before. So, yeah. Again, back to what we were talking about. That sucks. We just lost a viewer because of that. All right. So where it was that fear reminds you of what you love. And then, so in this movie, there's this really great quote that was said by George C. Scott. And what he had said was that Superman is not brave. He's, he's good looking, he's strong, he's fast, he's even decent, but he's not brave because nobody that is untouchable and completely indestructible can have that sense about this situation, this blah blah blah. But that you're missing the point of what he's saying. You know, the point is not for a bunch of comic guys like even myself can say no. There's times where Superman is shown bravery, but that you're missing the point. What he means is that if you're indestructible, you can't be brave. You can only be brave if you have something to lose. If you have vulnerability, and if you wear that vulnerability outward and you wear it on your sleeve, to me that's bravery. You're wearing your fears, you're wearing your vulnerability, you're showing people that you're not afraid to be yourself and you're not afraid to be rejected. And that is something that everyone has to learn at some point. Thank you, Christian Martinez. There's at some point you have to understand that. That no matter what you do, you're not going to please everyone. But in showing that kind of vulnerability on the outside, being that kind of person, it is painful. And it's very painful, especially for those that have some serious empathy. You understand the kind of pain that these people go through because not only do we show it, but we feel it 10 times more when we take it home with us and we sit there and we dwell on that little problem. That problem snowballs. And for those that are, extroverts, and me being the extrovert that I am, I have always been an open book, and I've never been afraid to say whatever I've done, say who I am, anything to that aspect. I never cared what anyone could think about me. I just, I just wanted to be liked. And I think that is a common human trait to just want to be liked. And again, we go back to that whole, hate me for who I am, and don't love me for what I'm not, because that's not who I am. And again, I know we've said this before, but I really think that the Instagram life and all of those ridiculous photos of people living these lavish luxury lives, you're always seeing the lifestyle. But I've never, and I can honestly say this, I've never seen one of those pictures where the person looked truly happy. They look adventurous, they look curious, they look excited even, but happy? I don't know. I don't see that. And, of course, most of these photos are airbrushed. Most of these photos are tampered with, filtered in, and, that's just how it is. People are so afraid to show that vulnerability, that acceptance that, what, I'm a flawed person. I'm a very flawed person. Don't want to be, but people are naturally flawed. Alright, so we have Christian Martinez saying, I had a friend fall for me because of what she thought I could be. not who I actually was. Okay. Uh, wow. Um, I know exactly that what Christian's talking about here. I had a wife that I love to this day. I love as much as I loved her the day I met her. And she constantly saw me as who I could be. And it was not healthy for me to constantly sabotage myself because I didn't want her to. I was so afraid of letting her down and letting myself down and being embarrassed just by failing that I didn't try. And 9 times out of 10, that's exactly the problem. You're so afraid of what you're not that everything becomes a burden and you're afraid of yourself. Now, Christian Martinez also says the internet isn't reality, and when you actually share how you feel, they say you're looking for attention. I guess you should. I'm guessing, Christian, you meant for attention. Um, that is the cheapest cop out. I hear that all the time, and I constantly think that is such a cop out response. And it's the same thing as when someone, and again, I do not care if YouTube takes me off for this, but I used to run a site that was helping people that were suicidal, and I am not afraid to use the word suicidal. And in the world we live in today, we really need to stop censoring words that are vital to understanding our situations. So, if someone's a damn pedophile, you call them a pedophile. And don't change the words, okay? So, that's really how it is. And it's a cop out. When someone commits suicide and someone else will just go, well, that person was a coward. No, that's a cop out answer. No, the person was not a coward. You were not a coward for feeling left out. You're not a coward because you don't want to be here anymore because all you know is that pain. And I mean, I can give you a billion reasons why you should stay here. And again, I always say this, if you are feeling like hurting yourself in any way, come talk to me. Send me a message. I always read them. Send a comment on the YouTube channel. I will read it. I definitely agree. The internet is not reality. Facebook is not a real place. Okay? You can't get kicked out. You can't be kicked out. Okay? There is no bouncer. There is no big bald dude that's gonna kick your ass in the alley. Okay? It's not a real club. It's not exclusive. It is very inclusive. And people naturally want to feel important, and I understand that feeling. I completely understand that feeling. I'm a musician. I've acted. I do stand up. I mean, if anyone is an attention whore, it's definitely me. But that doesn't mean I'm shallow minded. I love everyone I come across. And that's why I really ask for people to come by and tell me what your problems are. And if you're quote unquote looking for attention, even if that's true, what is wrong with that? That's not a problem. Looking for attention is more human than anything else. The fact that people say, "Oh, you're just looking for attention," like it's a bad thing. It's like, well, obviously this person feels alone. So yeah, why wouldn't someone want someone else's attention? We bring the best out of each other. That's why we have so many things tying us together, and that's what brings us together is the fact that we are vulnerable, flawed creatures that progressively can develop just a natural love for each other. And when you actually share how you feel and you are criticized, ridiculed, belittled, anything like that, it's because I don't want to say they don't care. I just want to say that they are very full of themselves. And um, even if someone's cutting the wrong way, we all know it's going front way. Up. We all know you're supposed to cut vertically. But when you see people with horizontal cuts, why is a cry for help looked at as pathetic? I don't. I never get. I will never understand this. And I've had friends that have had normal lives, as normal as a life can be, and those people looked for attention, looked for a friend, looked for something, couldn't find it, got rid of themselves. Another person goes through a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, who died. I believe he was gone before he died because of the simple fact that when I had seen him on the street, he was not the person that I remembered. He had come back from the Navy, and he had done a lot of great things in the Navy. But I guess the last job that they had him do was so hard on him that it just broke his soul. It broke his spirit. I saw him. He was paler. He didn't look himself, and you can tell he was hurting. And I guess at that point he just thought he didn't know me anymore or something, but he didn't trust me with his problems. And I understand it's hard to do that. But if you're not going to do it, if you're not going to if you're not going to tell me about it, tell someone. There's always someone that's going to care. And um, I have met homeless people on the street that can definitely vouch for that. And um, I honestly wish that it wasn't like that. So, Christian Martinez, thank you so much for your comments. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I spout this stuff all the time. And I always appreciate any kind of feedback we get because this is exactly what the show is for. And so, let's see, we got about 7 minutes here. So, let's just wrap things up by talking about. I mean, you can have, there's CBT, there's DBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. There's dialectical behavioral therapy. It doesn't matter. The main point of it teaches you that what you should be focused on is the here and now, and continue on to that point, and keep that sense of self. So you know where you are at all times. And I I have to say I can't stop reading Christian's comments because of the simple fact that I've been saying this for a while, that there's got to be people that don't think this is real. This isn't who you are. I I put thumbnails for my music videos that are me, and they always look sad, and it's not that I'm not happy. It's just um, I don't think it's appropriate to be smiling on a cover of a song that is about abuse, and the fact that I can write about it. It hurts, and I noticed that it can make you depressed. Like if you're a singer, let's say you're a singer, you write your own lyrics, you always write it about the problems that you have. You should always write in something optimistic, because if you're going to be repeating this, you're going to be singing these same words. Well, if the words really mean something to you, you're not going to just forget the words. You know what I mean? So in time, it ends up making you worse off than when you started because you're repeating the same words that bring that pain back to you. So I try to tell people like slam poetry, artists like the slam poets and the just writers and musicians always try to write about a way out, because if you're going to be repeating this thing over and over again, you need that little flicker of hope. And again, um, it's just not, it's not cowardly to wear your heart on your sleeve, and it's not cowardly to reach out for help and look for attention. There's nothing wrong with that. We all look for attention. And so are they. I mean, simply by calling you out and saying you're just looking for attention shows that so are they. Because they wouldn't have written anything if they didn't want any attention. You would have just shut up. So it's such a hypocritical thing to say. And just like I said, you're not a coward to me. No person that's ever committed suicide is a coward to me. I just don't see it. The only people that are cowards that kill themselves are the people that have done something so terrible that they can't deal with the repercussions and the universe making its full rounds. You know, they're afraid of the consequence to the point where they off themselves so that way they live without it. And I don't believe in a heaven and a hell, so I can't really say, you know, at least they go straight to hell. You know, it's not that simple. We don't really know, but that's besides the point. My point is that you're living your life, and the fact that you even get past the age of 25, in my opinion, that takes a lot of strength. It's the first 25 years of your life that are the hardest. By the time you get to 26, 27, that's when you should start knowing who you are. But for some people, you don't even get mental issues until you're almost 20. I never had a single issue in my life, and then I got major depressive disorder, bipolar disorder, high anxiety, high blood pressure, all of these issues, and none of this came out. None of this came out until I was well out of being 18. I thought I was an adult. I thought I was a grown up, and no, my body was still changing, and so the first 25 years, which is, God, I mean, those are the best times and the worst times, are they not? I mean, some people believe life starts at 40 because by then you've made your mistakes, you know where to turn, you know how to go back on them. And yeah, that would be weird. So, in summation, since this is our last minute together, I just want to say thank you so much for sticking around. Thank you to Christian Martinez. Thank you to everyone that has viewed this so far and everyone that will view it later. I tend to see that people watch the reruns rather than, or they watch it when it's not live anymore. So either way, thank you for watching it at all, because it shows that, it shows that I'm not alone, and it means a lot to me. So Christian Martinez, I can't thank you enough for simply jumping in and not being afraid to say something, because that's what this world really needs now, is simply communication. It's just a simple matter of communication. I used to hide. I really found being more vocal about it. I feel a little lost friends, but missed the point. It is a mixed blessing. I'm guessing you meant mixed blessing. When you are more vocal about it, yeah, you do tend to lose friends, because people don't, either people don't respect and take your problem seriously, or they get terrified because you're mirroring the problems that they have, and they're so scared to deal with it themselves that when they look at you, they see the crap that they don't want to deal with. And so it is a mixed blessing, and trust me, you probably just lost the friends that were not going to be there for you anyway. Obviously they weren't going to be there for you anyway. So, it's better to have 3 real friends than 100 bullshitters that are just there because they want their turn to speak. I mean, having a discussion with somebody, uh, like you, Christian, for instance, having this simple discussion, I have learned a lot about you. You have, hopefully, you've learned a lot about me. And no one's ever going to tell you this. And they don't show, and in school, you think that that's what life is about, is having as many people in your life as possible. And then you get so bent out of shape because you're so worried about the quantity of friendships that you realize that none of them have any substance. There is no quality to them. They're just phony associations that really go nowhere. And in my opinion, I've said this with relationships, and I say this with friendships, relationships of any kind, whether romantic, whether not romantic. If you can sit with somebody and simply shut the fuck up for 5 minutes together, and neither of you feel awkward, you belong together as friends, whatever. You guys or girls, you belong in each other's life, because if something has to constantly be going on and going on to keep up the action, I guess would be lack for a better word, the action, drama is the word I was looking for. All the drama and the BS that comes with it. That's what they want. They want to see the ups and downs, and we all live them anyway. But other people, again, it's like Schadenfreude. They just want to see people fail. So I like to do this as a test, and maybe you guys should try this. Just try this. Whoever you want to be in your life, whoever you want to be friends with, try that. Just try sitting quietly for a few minutes. And if one person gets that annoyed that they have to get up and they gotta get out of here, that person is just there because they want to speak. And so when you talk to them, it's in one ear and out the other, because they're just waiting for their turn, and then they jump in. And that is not communication. That is the very opposite of communication. That is selfish, and to me, that is selfish and cowardly. So, wow, we really got a lot said today. I'm really happy with today's show. Um, the fact that Christian also writes that no one tells you any of this, it's funny. It's funny because, like I said, you're in school, you want as many friends as possible, but when you get older, you realize I only need about 3. Three is a high number for like me personally. Right now, I have 2 best friends. That's it. I got my brother Casey, and yeah, one other person. That's it. And when I say that, um, the most meaningful people, I mean like people that I've known forever, and I know would never stab me in the back, and I can rely on them with my life. And that's 2 people. And honestly, you should have someone in your life, whether it's a romantic interest, significant other, a, just don't let it be a pet or someone online It's not. I mean, online. I mean, if it helps and they, actually respond to your problems rather than adding on theirs, that's a great sign. So I would say definitely jump in there. And if not, then you know where this shallow end is going to lead. And you know that sand is going to be hitting your feet very soon, if it hasn't already. So it's definitely exhausting. It's definitely Christian. You seem pretty well lived. Like you lived a real life. I'm 35, and I feel like I've lived about three lifetimes because I had three different lifestyles, completely different from the other. Um, I've been a transient, a vagabond. I've been um, well off and had money. I'm a father of three. I was married once. And right now, I feel like I don't have anybody in the world because those two people that are in my life, that I trust with my life, are so far away from me that I can't have a face to face discussion. And when you don't have that, it's lonely. I mean, I have friends, but you know, not like those, not like those, and those are very few and far between. And so while we end this, tomorrow we will be back on. Gonna start doing this around 1 o'clock. Seems like 1 o'clock is a good time to do it. 2 o'clock is always the latest time if you don't catch it. Between 12 and 2. That usually means the only days I take off are Saturday and Sunday because I try to regroup to give you guys something else to talk about. And so stay tuned tomorrow. I will have a whole new have a whole new conversation ready, and I always appreciate everything that you guys do for me. What you guys do on my SoundCloud, I can't thank you guys enough for that. Um, the Useless Agent, some of the music that is on SoundCloud that we get up to 30 to 40,000 people listening to it with these great comments. I cannot thank you enough. If you're looking for my content, it is on SoundCloud, also on Spotify. Just look up Useless Agent, you will find it. Um, just as you found this streaming service. So this has been STS for September 6th, 2022. And I really appreciate everything you guys do. Um, I love that I can relate to you guys. And please share it, like it, tell your friends. Uh, we want to get this thing rolling and have some really weird and cool guests for you guys. Like I said, we're going to have crime scene cleanup people that literally clean up crime scenes before police even get there. Because in most cases, with prostitution and homeless, their deaths go completely unsolved because there's no one there to force their hand of the police to get moving. So I want to say thank you so much for tuning in today. We'll be putting up a new song on SoundCloud / Useless Agent. And if my children are happen to watch this, hey, you guys are too young for this. Wait for daddy to call you. Um, okay, I just want to say I love you guys. And thank you so much for tuning in. Come back tomorrow at 1 o'clock p.m. Central Time, and I will be here. All right. And as always, thank you to Christian Martinez. Awesome for you to jump in. Thanks to my friend Scott. He's always helping out with this channel. Um, Thank you guys so much for everything you guys do. I really appreciate it. All right. I love you guys. And as always, I will see you on the other side. All right. I love you guys. Have a good one. And remember, if you have anything to say that no one else will listen to, just simply put in uselessagentmusic at gmail.com. Commonly spelled uselessagentmusic at gmail.com. And I am happy to read and happy to know you. All right.